I'm going to keep the show moving. This next guy is very, very pretty excited to have him. He has his new album that just came out today. It's called Pizza Night. Please welcome to the stage, Kyle Clark!
Guys, I'm not sure if this comedy thing is going to work out. I'll be honest with you for a minute. Stand-up, not quite the money-making venture I had heard it was going to be. Wish one of you had told me before I quit my job. Because, my thought was I'd finish that impassioned speech about how I'm going to follow my dreams, and a man in a top hat hands me 2 bags that have dollar signs on them, and I take them to the not my parents' house where I'll live from now on. Guys, that's not what happened. I was just really poor all summer. So I decided to take some responsibility and not be poor, and started substitute teaching. Because it turns out that's a job you can get. I don't know about you guys. For me, growing up, a substitute teacher was a day to take out all your rage and frustration as a young person on a stranger who's not real. You'll never see them again, so fuck them. And now I'm living in this petty, petty version of the Twilight Zone, where I'm having to atone for all of it. The saddest part is I'm just a teacher poor now, which is just a step above deadbeat poor. But the best part of it, guys, is I, being the lowest man on the totem pole, gets to substitute teach at middle schools. Okay, let's review. Anybody here? We're friends. Anybody have a good middle school experience? Exactly. Okay? The people who peaked in middle school are all dead. If you had a 6-pack at 13, you are dead in a motel on drugs. Okay? That's the only trajectory that can do. So I've dived in there, and I have to say, if you had gone to me at like 19 when I'm full of hopes and dreams, and said, hey Kyle, how much would it cost for you to go back and face all of your childhood nightmares? Like the ones that shape me into this, they're like, yeah, those are the ones, $1 million, because I have a price. At that point, I would be like, all right, I'd be willing to do for that. Turns out $100 a day. I can be bought. Have you ever had to like lower the asking price on your happiness? When you do that markdown on your soul? But here's the thing I've discovered, guys. There's a silver lining to every cloud, because what I love about middle school is that you can be mean to them. And guys, no one will believe their crazy story. It doesn't matter what you say, because whoever they're going to tattle to you on, they were a dick to at some point. They're like, I'm glad they said that. That guy's an American hero. And I like to think I am. Guys, it's the only point in my life where I have control and power over people. And what I've learned about myself is it's good that I have no power, because I get drunk and corrupt immediately. Just then I'm like, oh man, I control how good or bad your day is. Your day's gonna be bad. There's no greater moment than saying no to someone. And then when they give you a reason, saying, I don't care. My favorite thing in the world, the best thing, because every middle school student seems to forget that at some point you were also a middle school student. And so that, hey, instead of like working today, could I just like be on my phone the whole time? And while I understand that, I say no, and then go back to being on my phone. Just to illustrate who's top dog. But what's even better is to do this, guys. Say, can I play on my phone all day? No. Okay, I'm already on the top of the world. But then what you want to do is this. You want to walk away and be like, you know what? Still no. Because you've given them hope and you've taken it away. Do you know how good that feels? To just lift them up and drop them from a greater height. Oh, guys, last week I worked in a wood shop, because those are still a thing that exists. And that's a thing you hear through middle school and high school. Oh, I'm going to take shop class. And then you get out, and unless you have skills, they're just like, oh, that stops being a thing. So I wander back into a shop class, And I don't know what it is about the very real threat of danger existing that makes kids love to try to die. But there's no more fun you can watch a young person have than when Kevin and Sean are chicken fighting because they know they can lose fingers. And like on a fundamental level, I understand it, because you tell me one thing that's dangerous where the safer alternative is better. Again, I thought not. So I'm in woodshop, and thank Christ we're not doing stuff with wood, because a kid would have died. Like, and it's clear in his things, like, don't even go near him, don't look at the tools. I'm like, I'm right with you, piece of paper. And so they're drafting, and they're gonna draw what their spice rack looks like, because people are still making spice racks. And I hand them, and they have the tool of the trade for today is a right angle ruler, where it has a handle on it and then a ruler, because in woodshop, shit needs to be more complicated. So I hand them out, and I get to the last table, and I give them to them, and I walk away, and then I turn around to say something, and they've already made a swastika out of it. And so I go and grab a yardstick, and not unlike a map in a World War II documentary, I just break up that swastika. Like a shuffleboard court of racism. And I take them away from them, and I go, well, now you have to use regular rulers like a bunch of assholes. And give them those, and I walk away, and I come back, and they've built a bigger swastika. They went and got more rulers to build a tribute to their fallen swastika. Like it's the Freedom Tower. And so I take the rulers away and go, now you're going to have to freehand it. So your spice rack is going to suck. And I'm feeling good about myself, and I take those away, and I leave, and I come back, and their drawing paper are long rectangles, which they have then brilliantly constructed into a full table-sized swastika. At this point, I'm not even mad. And they know I'm not mad because I am laughing. But I'm not laughing for the reason they think, which is that I'm a white supremacist. The reason I'm laughing is because it's made me think of my favorite old fairy tale, which is The Elves and the Shoemaker, where the shoemaker's like, I gotta make a bunch of shoes, I'm super screwed, so I'm gonna go to bed. And then elves come in the night, and they take all of his shoe supply stuff, and when the shoemaker comes out in the morning, they've turned them into swastikas. Now, perhaps that's not the story you know, but you weren't raised by war criminals. I had to translate it into English. But I can't be mad at them for like what they've done, because it's awful. Like, you should not make swastikas out of anything, although I'm discovering super easy. But I know they're not malicious about it, because the table of boys that I'm having the problem with are 3 Latino youths and 1 super Jewish kid. Now let me break down the politics of what's happened here. They looked at their art supplies and put something together and clearly thought, oh, this looks like something. And then the Jewish kid probably said, oh, we shouldn't make that. That's that thing my grandmother doesn't care for. Which is middle school boy for, we should just keep building these. We should go into swastika making business. And I feel like that's the perfect distillation of understanding how middle school works. Because that young Jewish boy was willing to sell out thousands of years of Jewish suffering because the 3 Latino boys who sit at the table with him are being nice to him. I feel like that's the day where when you go to the principal's office, you're not scared because you explain, Mom, you don't understand. Okay? They gave me a Raiders hat. I'm part of their gang. A friend of mine tried to pitch me. He's like, you should say Raiders yarmulke. And I'm like, did you make a swastika on that? Because you're real entertained by that. That's dodgy. I still said it though, so I'm taking his advice. But I can't get mad about that because I had something similar happen to me when I was young. So let's go on a journey to my past together. Okay, yeah, I'm in middle school. It's 8th grade. Was anyone else here raised by television? Okay, thank you. Okay, this was what I got really into doing as a kid, and I still understand why, was trying to learn big words from TV to sound smarter, to the amusement of no one. And I would do it using context clues. Now, for those of you who don't know, context clues are when you hear a word you don't know and you use the words around it in context to figure out what it means. And most of the time, it makes it so you know what the word means and then you use it and no one cares because you're still fat. Don't know. I've come to accept it. It's fine. And so the problem is when it goes horribly wrong, it's the best thing ever. So it's the year 2000. I'm in 8th grade. Do your math. Or feel old, however you want to roll with it. And it's the election year, and we are having debates in my 8th grade class. Now, I've been telling this joke for a couple of months now, and I've still never been able to understand why my middle school teacher needed to have this debate, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Because the word that I misunderstood via context clues failing me was I used to think that abortion was another word for being gay. I know. That's what makes it funny. Okay, so we have this debate. Now, why my 8th grade teacher decided we needed to have a debate about abortion, the real kind, I've yet to figure out. I'll get back to you. But we do. Now, this was also around the time that I was feeling the birth of my liberalism in myself. Because at that point, a lot of teenage boys in my middle school were calling me abortion. And guys, I wasn't real good at talking to girls, so I thought maybe I was abortion. So when it came time for that debate, boys and girls, I stood up impassioned because I had written a speech. Now, my speech was about how there's nothing wrong with abortion. There's no shame in anything about abortion. And in fact, people in this very classroom might be affected by abortion and might be too afraid to even come forward. Now, guys, I could have learned a lesson this day. But I did not, because I won the debate! Now, 2 very important things had to happen for that to come to pass. The first, all 32 students in that class who aren't me had to give that little of a fuck about everything going on in life and in the world. Because if any student had raised their hand and said, what? My whole defense is destroyed. And secondly, the thing that blows my mind is that my teacher let me keep talking. And the whole time, all she kept thinking was, this kid loves abortion. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.